Nyla Rose was not only the first openly transgender wrestler in history to sign with a major American promotion when signing with All Elite Wrestling in 2019, but she also became the first trans wrestler to win a title in a major American promotion when she won the AEW Women's World Championship the following year. But did you know she starred as the lead character in a television sitcom?
I've been telling people on this channel to subscribe, and they won't.
Yes?
What can we do about that? Can you help me out? Maybe if you tell them to subscribe, they'll do it.
You threaten it. I'll threaten it for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. You don't have to do it till you're cursed.
Nyla plays a character named Sue who gets fired from her job when she comes out as transgender. This would be illegal. Sue then finds out that the apartment she's been living in was set to be demolished. Technically, this is not a crime since the construction worker tells Sue that notice was given. After calling 37 ex-relationship partners looking for someone to move in with, Sue breaks down and calls Chris, the final ex on her list. Chris is an eco-terrorist who assassinates oil lobbyists for profit, and that is most certainly illegal. Sue is not aware of this when she asks to move in with Chris. Due to the visual state of the apartment, it appears this living situation is illegal. However, we will find out later that while it appears that Chris is squatting, she is in fact living here legally. She just has a terrible landlord who is breaking numerous laws constantly. With Chris away, Sue cleans up the apartment and things are feeling a bit more safe until Antonia unlocks the front door and enters without properly announcing herself as the landlord. This is illegal. Chris arrives home and is quite upset that Sue has cleaned up the apartment and lets Sue know that Antonia is not only the landlord, but also her employer. With this misunderstanding out of the way, Sue is somehow able to connect to the internet, I can only assume illegally, and when after throwing her headset in frustration, she is only mildly shocked to find that Zoe has broken into the apartment to go through Sue's belongings. This, of course, is illegal. There is a knock at the door and we are introduced to Sandra, who is a homicide detective that has come looking for Zoe since she is the child's caretaker. Sandra's best friend, Zoe's mom, asked her to be the godparent to her child. This was a purely honorary title until Zoe's mom died. Sandra leaves with Zoe and Sue begins looking for a new place to live the next day. However, due to bad credit and a lack of employment, Sue is unable to sign a lease. Sue copes with this stress by disassociating, and Zoe comes to console her, and it is revealed that Zoe is trans as well. Sue decides to go back in the closet as Erwin and go back to her old job so that she can move out. Chris pleads with Sue to stay and tells her that she can tidy up as much as she wants. After Sue leaves to go back to her old job, Antonia lets Chris know that she threatened Sue's old boss so that he would offer to hire her again. This is certainly a crime, but it would have been a better crime had she also made him hire Sue back without having her dress up as Erwin. Chris becomes very upset with Antonia for this. After a few hours back, Sue decides that it's not worth it to pretend to be Erwin and walks out and literally runs into Chris, and they return to the apartment. In episode 2, Sue receives a giant box of estrogen. Sue says she ordered the smallest amount, but due to it being Canada, she got confused due to her unfamiliarity with the metric system since she just recently moved there and is now looking at a huge invoice. Sue goes to a job interview and is immediately sexually harassed in a very illegal way. Sue then goes to try to secure a loan and is eventually sexually harassed in what we are led to believe is a less illegal way since the person doing the harassing is attractive. Sue agrees to date Russell, and he agrees to take her to 16 job interviews. Things get awkward with Russell at the end of the date since Sue has not yet told him that she is trans. However, Russell knew that Sue was trans since it was on her loan application, and this is not a problem for Russell. Sue lands a low-level job at Atlantis, and we are introduced to Phil. We find out that Phil has transitioned from female to be a gay man, and he is generally unpleasant. Sick of people not liking him for reasons beyond his control, Phil has decided to give people clear and specific reasons to hate him. Episode 3 is where we find out that Sue's new boss, Nate, the same one that sexually harassed her in episode 2, had signed up for a text dominatrix service that Sue had been working for on the side, and it is revealed that Sue has been texting her boss this whole time. To avoid her boss discovering this, she plants her phone on Phil, who decides that he will take this opportunity to blackmail Nate. This is all illegal on many different and strange levels. Antonia steals a man's bike. This isn't important, but it is illegal. Sue feels bad for Nate, who has been abused by Phil, and she admits that it was her on the other end of Nate's text conversations. But Nate does not believe her, so after signing a waiver, Sue attempts to prove that she is Nate's text dom by having a three-way text conversation between herself, Phil, and Nate. I strongly feel that if not illegal, this is certainly not good workplace behavior, waiver or no waiver. Nate decides that he no longer cares if he gets in trouble with HR, and Sue earns some amount of respect from Phil. Later, we find out that Atlantis doesn't even have an HR department. That certainly feels illegal. If you couldn't tell by now, this show isn't very serious at all and seems like everyone had a real good time making it. Nyla Rose is very solid as the lead and does a really good job of carrying the show. The supporting cast is pretty solid as well. I like some better than others, but mostly I really like the way they handle the identity issues that are a big part of the show. I really haven't seen anything else like it, and at the 3-episode mark, I found myself being a bit sad that there were only 2 more episodes to review and made me want to pause for a brief intermission. Before I review episodes 4 and 5 of The Switch, I wanted to take this brief intermission to let you know that this is actually the second video on Nyla Rose that I've made. I made the first video on Nyla Rose 2 years ago on my first channel. Now, on my first channel, I primarily covered a mobile video game called Marvel Strike Force. I made that video about Nyla Rose because when I was live streaming on Twitch and I was talking about another content creator in my space covering the same game that I was covering, my Twitch audience let me know, don't watch his video, he's transphobic, he's a homophobe. And I said, no way, why would that be happening here? Why on the planet Earth is someone, why would we know that? How on earth would they get to be so comfortable with their video game audience that they would be openly bigoted? That's crazy. So I said, you know what? I will openly embrace the LGBTQ community then. I wanted to make videos about wrestling, which is what I do now primarily. So to segue into that, I made a video about Nyla Rose. Just about how great it was that AEW made her a champion and what a great run it was. And I don't know, you can go watch it all. I've got a lot of videos from my first channel that were about wrestling. So if you wanted more, if you want like secret, deep dive, Mr. Hartgrave content, it's there to find on my first channel. I was doing wrestling videos for years before I ever started this channel. But this opened a whole can of worms. This video that I made on Nyla Rose really changed my life, and I don't know if it was for the better or what, and I don't know what I'm doing right now, guys, by making another one about Nyla Rose. I don't know what I'm stepping into here, and I don't care. I was out in that video game community as someone who was pro LGBTQ. So when this content creator that my audience had warned me about, hey, don't watch his video, you know, he's a bigot, he put out he did a live stream, and in this live stream, yeah, he said some not nice things about me and called me an idiot, whatever, I'm an idiot, that's fine. But another content creator who was prominent in our space, he said he didn't like them on the sole basis that they were gay. And once again, I was blown away that this could be happening in this small video game community. That I was a part of, that I was becoming a prominent creator in myself. So I did what I thought was right. I made another video, and this time, and all I said in this video was, wow, that's not cool. you know, it wasn't really a deep take. It was, this guy's out here not liking another content creator just because they're gay. Wow, how does that happen in this day and age? Why is that all right? So in response to me making this video, you know, calling out this creator, I was then in turn harassed nonstop for about a year and a half by the creator and their followers and other content creators that were stans of this content creator. It was a never-ending shitstorm that kind of clipped my wings in that community, stopped me from being a prominent creator in that community, and ultimately was one of the reasons why I stepped away from it altogether at the end of the day. Because as far as I know, that creator still operates in that space and is supported by that community to a certain degree. No other prominent content creators will work with them, which is good, but the community itself, I would always be plagued with comments like, you know, this guy has a good video, and I'd be like, that guy's a bigot. And they would respond and go like, oh, I know that, but his video game advice is really good. So that's the story of my first Nyla Rose video and everything that happened surrounding that. And that was kind of my first foray into being a LGBTQ positive content creator who won't shy away from that sort of thing, who won't hide that from his audience. I'm fine with you knowing that I think all humans should have, you know, basic human rights and be treated as humans and not be just degraded and harassed because of just who they were born as. That's how that is with me. The only other thing I can say about Nyla Rose is that Nyla Rose is notable to me because when I started buying AEW action figures, Nyla Rose was actually the first figure that I found that I found a chase variant of. So I have a rare 1 out of 5,000 Nyla Rose. I found this in the wild. I didn't pick this up on an auction, but I found this on the pegs for a mere $20 at my local Target. And I think it's extra cool now. When I first found it, of course I bought it, but you know, I didn't really think much of it. And now after doing this review of Nyla's TV show and everything that happened with that, this figure is kind of special to me. And it's a prized part of my vast collection, which I've made some videos on too. They're on this channel if you're curious about my my AEW action figure collection. And the only other thing that I'd really like you to know during this intermission and about me as a content creator in general is that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
The director of The Switch just recently released a movie about 4 drag queens who end up defending a biker bar from a vampire attack. It's called Slay, and it sounds fucking awesome. And if this channel gets to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, 2024, I will review it in full on this channel. That goal aside, we have episode 4, where Chris and Antonia convince Sue and Zoe to get out more, so they join the local Doomball League. Doomball is an extremely violent game with comically convoluted rules made up for the purposes of the show. It is also only played by women, so there's a bit of friction when the coach confronts Sue and Zoe, telling them that while there are no official rules against trans women joining, they do try to keep it as a safe place for women. This is, of course, nothing like professional wrestling and is perfectly legal. Sue and Zoe are allowed to join the league since they are short 2 players and would automatically forfeit an upcoming game if they do not find replacements in time.
We discover that Antonia plays Doomball as well, and Zoe discovers that they are very good at Doomball, maybe a little too good. Chris meets Antonia's cousin Isabella at the Doomball game, and she reveals to Chris that she also kills people professionally. This is not abnormal at all. After the game, Zoe is told that the team they beat is contesting the win with the league due to Zoe being trans on the grounds that it has always been a safe place for women. The women have no issues with Sue being trans since she sucks at the game. Sue and Zoe solve the problem by shocking the two women who made the complaint with stun guns that were hidden inside the Doomball rulebook that they were given when they signed up. Since Doomball itself is a violation of the Community Center Nonviolence Code, I'm fairly certain this is far less illegal than anything else that happens during the normal course of a game. This episode was immediately my favorite, from the way it opened with a Star Trek parody, Concussion Dream, and from just how few fucks it gave in general. I rather enjoyed the meta commentary and humor on trans women and wrestling as well. 10 out of 10 would highly recommend. This brings us to the final episode, and it's a Valentine's Day episode where Sue, Russell, Chris, and Isabella go on a double date. At the end of the meal, Chris and Isabella literally fight over the check. This episode is probably the worst of the 5 and a disappointing ending to what was shaping up to be a rather interesting and often humorous show. I have no idea why they decided to make Chris a murderer, and that plotline is never resolved, but at least we got Doomball, and All Elite Wrestling got Nyla Rose.
I don't know if we've told the real story with Nyla Rose. I'm cool telling the real story if it's not out there. When we hired Nyla Rose, we did not know she was transgender. We thought she was one of the best wrestlers we ever saw. That was that. It later was revealed to us that she was transgender, and that's great.
Quite a night on Twitter.
How was it revealed to you guys?
Via the internet.
Oh.
I was getting floods of tweets from people of the LGBTQ community just saying, thank you, and I'm saying, for what? What did I do? Yeah. And then I found that out, and then, you know, she opened up to me and talked about it, and that was fantastic. However, it's nothing to do with anything because she's just a fantastic competitor. Right. She was brought on board. I think Kenny Omega was the one to find her and say, hey, take a look at her.
Did Kenny know or
no?
No, he didn't know.
None of us knew.
You got on TV all these television shows about ghosts and ghost hunters, and everybody's like, yeah, ghosts, okay, first of all, never mind the fact that you're in like an 18th century German castle. Why is the ghost speaking English? Never mind that. But everybody's like, yeah, ghosts, that's plausible. Okay, it shows The Hunt for Bigfoot. Oh, let's go hunt Bigfoot. It's definitely out there, right? Aliens. Oh my God, there has to be aliens. I know they built the pyramids. But the discovery up front, I like that. Right, but the second you're like, hey, I'm trans and I just don't feel right, and so I was like, that's preposterous. There's no way that's possible. Like, that is the wildest shit to me. I'm sorry, can I say that? It's the wildest boo-boo I have ever thought of this morning at 8 a.m. So, there's a lot of, like, misinformation, and a lot of it is just people being stubborn because it's different, because it's weird and wild and zany. They don't want to learn about it, and they'll just kind of take all the crap that they've been told and just run with that. Not look at new science, not look at new studies. It's just it's willful ignorance is what it is.
I wrestled guys like 3 times my size, and no one makes a fuss about that.
No one makes a fuss about intergender wrestling.
Yeah,
all the concern for women's safety only applies to my matches. Yeah. Hey, anybody out there listening? Let me help you out. A good joke would be the fact that I just recently wrote an issue of X-Men. So who better than to write the X-Men than an X-Man? Oh! See, there you go. You want some original material? Why do I have to help you hate me? You guys are so unoriginal, so not funny.
Nyla took endless shit from the internet during her time as AEW Women's Champion, as you would expect. After her time with the belt, she hasn't been featured as much on Dynamite. There was a brief team formed consisting of Nyla and Maria Shafir with Vicky Guerrero acting as their manager, but nothing of real note happened here.
The last time Nyla made the headlines, it was more due to the events outside of the ring instead of inside, due to Oklahoma throwing a fit about one of her matches in Ring of Honor back in December of 2023.
Good Lord! To the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission, if you can't fathom and you can't figure out that professional wrestling is a flipping work, meaning that a woman or a man, I don't give a ish what their sex is, has no athletic competitive edge over the other because it's a fixed outcome previously, my head exploded when I first read this. I could not believe this was true. I couldn't believe this really happened. Okay, I'm not going to touch other NCAA sports or real sports. That's not what this conversation's about. This rant is specifically about professional wrestling, which we all know, okay? And if you don't know, guys, if you got the time, I've got some amazing spoilers about the Easter Bunny and Santa, if you got a few. Good Lord, Oklahoma State Athletic Commission, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I absolutely stand with our girl, Nyla Rose. And if you can't watch one of her matches and see she's not a dominating force and she's not separated from what the other women offer on the AEW or any other roster for that matter, then you're missing it. And you're not a good wrestling expert. You shouldn't be judging wrestling because she stands out immensely from her power set moves, her attitude, and yeah, her swag. She's got crazy swag. And in real life, this is a girl that gives back to her community, gives an ish about other people. And, okay, that might not have anything to do with the professional wrestling product. Somebody might say, okay, fine, let's talk about the professional wrestling product. Okay, she's somebody that can make others look better. She has. And I would argue AEW does not do a good enough job of using her and utilizing her. You've got your Andre the Giant. You've got your Big John Studd. You've got your Undertaker. You've got your final boss, so to speak, on the AEW female roster being her. She should be the end-all be-all, just steamrolling girls every single week because it's believable. But that's storyline wrestling. Oklahoma State Athletic Commission tried to make a political talking point out of this. That's my personal humble opinion. I think it has fallen incredibly short. I think it's disrespectful. I think it was done to embarrass somebody. And it better not have been done to embarrass my girl, Nyla Rose, who I've got a ton of respect for, and I think is the real deal, Evander Holyfield, and then some. I really, truly do. And I got tons of friends in that company that speak nothing but great things about her and how great she is to have her on that locker room. But more importantly, again, what I said earlier, what she does for her community. And not just her own community, but people that need help, people need a talking to, people need a pep talk. This woman's there for them from all accounts from what I've heard.
It is always great to see Nyla Rose back in an AEW ring, and as expected, the internet wrestling community shit all over this match for no goddamn reason. The biggest problem with this match is that it wasn't given enough time. The women's league in general is not given enough time on AEW. That is the biggest issue, but other than that, this match was great. Power moves back and forth between Chris Statlander and Nyla Rose, culminating in a top rope assisted tombstone pile driver from Chris Statlander on Nyla Rose. A big portion of this match eaten up with the commercial, and that always sucks. It seems like, though, fans of women's wrestling gave this match a good rating. However, there's a lot more people that just like to be negative towards it than positive, and that's a big problem. Time, guys, you got to give it time. It just needs... I wish that on Collision and Rampage, they would take some of the time that they have there and let the women's storylines play out like they do in Ring of Honor. One of the best parts of Ring of Honor is how much time they gave Athena to work her storylines. So many good segments, and you know that Nyla Rose has the dramatic chops to pull off in between match segments. I mean, she starred in a goddamn sitcom. That's what this whole video has been about. So, I don't know, man. Hopefully Tony Khan sees this. Does he know he has a sitcom star on his roster? And you can see that in Ring of Honor. She did some great spots with Athena. And the spots were so good that I thought Nyla Rose actually had a shot at beating Athena. If you do in between segments good enough, they can make people seem like bigger threats than maybe they are on paper. On paper, you put Nyla Rose versus Athena, and I go, well, you know, Athena's probably going to retain. They're probably not going to end her championship run, this epic championship run that Athena's been on, by having Nyla Rose beat her. But then you add in these in-between segments, these story beats, and you give Nyla Rose so much time to kind of do what she does so well, and you start thinking, hey, maybe there's a shot. Maybe they're strapping a rocket to Nyla Rose, and she's going to be the Ring of Honor champion. And it makes the match better. It just enhances the match. If you're going to do in-between match segments, they should serve to enhance the matches. And they could really benefit from that a lot more with the women's wrestling in AEW. There's not enough of it. I did like the segment right before this, the contract signing between Toni Storm and Mina. That was pretty great. I like that Saraya came out. It was an interesting bit. Could have used some more of that for the kind of, I guess, is this the I guess this is the main event scene. This is the Owen Hart tournament. The winner of this is going to get to challenge Toni Storm. I guess Chris Statlander's going to go on. I'm not sure what's going to be next for Nyla Rose, but if you're a Nyla Rose fan, if you enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comments below. And please keep the nasty shit to yourself. I'm just going to instantly ban people. I'm going to ban you out of existence if you say hateful, homophobic shit. Look, it's Pride Month. That's one of the reasons why I ran this. It's kind of Pride Month every month around here. I'm a big supporter of the LGBTQ community. Those are literally all of my friends. I'm not that guy who's like, I got one, gay friend. I'm like, all of my friends are literally gay. So what are you going to do? Let me know what you thought of this down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this. Consider backing that Patreon for just $1. It helps keep the videos coming when YouTube is just being awful to this channel, as it usually is. If you want to help with that, make sure you watch another video after this one. And grave diggers, keep digging.
He is I and I am him, and I'm the undisputed trend Nat Taven. And this dork behind the camera, some Melvin told me to say, grave diggers keep on digging. Whatever that means.
I am AEW wrestler and Ring of Honor Tag Champ Mike Bennett. And remember, grave diggers keep digging, but not the monster truck. Even though my son really likes that monster truck, I kind of like Son of a Digger, and so I'm going off on a tangent about monster trucks because my son really loves monster truck, but we're talking about the YouTube channel, so make sure, grave diggers, keep on digging, baby.
So this is Mark doing one half private party, saying what up to the grave diggers, and you're doing your thing, right?
Alright, like, subscribe, and watch another video, or be cursed. If you're cursed, that means the grave diggers will keep digging your graves. So, you probably want to do it.